Well, actually, in today's video, going to have a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this will take us to around the 26th of April, so going off towards the end of the month, into that critical period that's been giving us a lot of headaches about weather. It's going to turn colder and more unstable through that final week of April. But we're still a bit mixed on it, but I think we are seeing an increasing trend to turn it unsettled anyway for the last week of the month. Whether it ever gets particularly cold, though, I've got doubts about that, but probably a change to more unsettled conditions likely, maybe, for the final week of the month. Now, before we get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages at GazWebs.com widget, sits just underneath web video here on the homepage. Have a browse through the widgets, and if there's any articles that you're interested in, please click through and you'll be able to go off and read those articles, and thanks very much for doing that. Also to say about the video ads, there are video ads on most of the pages. They open out within the content, so they're only around 30 seconds in length. They're TV commercial length, so watch those. And if there's anything there that you're interested in, you can click through the video ad and go off to whoever the advertiser is. So they are clickable, but the main thing is to watch them. And by doing that, you're helping to pay for the website. So thanks very much for doing that. Now, we've had the update from Jamstec. If you remember when we did the first summer update last month, in March, we didn't have the Jamstec model update for March. It hadn't updated. They're doing an upgrade on the model, I think. And I said, but if it appeared, I'd show you it. Well, it appeared yesterday. I did a blog post about it yesterday evening, but for anybody that doesn't read the blog, and by the way, if you didn't know there's a blog, there is a blog at GazWebs.com. It's gazwebs.com/flash.html. That's the page for the blog. But if you don't read the blog, I thought I'd just start with the Jamstec update for March anyway, for the summer. And this is it, and it's showing a pretty chilly looking summer indeed there for those parts, not just British Isles, but those parts of Europe as well. Quite a coldish summer coming through there. Notice very chilly summer being predicted for most of America as well. They're having a very cold time of the year. A very cold year, I should say. In terms of the precipitation anomaly for the summer, the Jamstec model was seeing near normal precipitation, but it's quite interesting because up to the northwest of the country, we've got this green area, and that goes into Scandinavia as well. So it is seeing low pressure, I think, in the Atlantic being the driving factor through this summer, and that explains the temperature coming out cooler than average for the summer. It's basically seeing quite a westerly based summer, with low pressure, probably stronger than normal, around Iceland and to the north of Scotland. That was how the update was seeing things in March. Anyway, we haven't had the update for April yet. I'll do the second summer update a week on Sunday, the final Sunday of April. We should have the Jamstec update for April then to put in with that. But the consensus from the first summer update was for generally a coolish and unsettled summer. And if we'd had the Jamstec to put with all the other models, it would have gone along with the consensus, if you see what I mean. So overall, the last summer update wasn't great. It was predicting quite a cool, unsettled summer for Jamstec. Is in alignment with that, it was in March. We'll see how things have progressed as we get through into the second update, which, as I say, I'll be doing a week on Sunday, the final Sunday of the month. Now, let's have a look at the 500 millibar high anomalies for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the left. The GFS is over on the right. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Now, I've got signs of a bit of a change taking place on these charts. You remember that we've been looking at these through April so far, the red and orange colours, which are extrapolated to high pressure, have been firmly anchored over the top of the country. But we are seeing signs of a change now, particularly on the ECMWF, which is showing that the jet stream in the next 8 to 10 days is coming back across the country. And we've got low pressure developing to the north with all these blue colours as the ridge is starting to be pushed down to south. Now, that isn't a particularly cold scenario, but it is a more unsettled scenario. It is indicating that the Atlantic and the jet stream beginning to come back as we push through into the final week of the month. In terms of the GFS, it's showing a ridge out to the northwest of the country. Very deep trough of low pressure over Scandinavia, probably bringing pretty cold air to them. And this area of low pressure is just about being kept at bay in the Atlantic, these blue curves here, by this ridge. But this ridge does look quite weak. And that's likely, I think, with time to move up to the north and allow this low pressure, this trough, to come in from the south. So the overall signal, excuse me, as we go through to the final week of April, I think is to be turning more unsettled. That's sort of what the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles have shown. We'll start off with temperature first of all. We've got the red line here, which is the 30-year temperature average. We're well above average now. We're going to go a little bit cooler over the next couple of days. And then we start to pick up again as we go through into next week. This is Monday, the 20th of April, just here. Now, this final week of April is the period that's been causing all of the problems. You remember there was a suggestion a few days ago that it could turn really quite cold. That's sort of going away now, although there's still quite a lot of scatter within the ensemble, so don't entirely rule it out. But that idea is going to turn cold for the final week of April does seem to be reducing. But what is evident is that after a very dry start, these are precipitation spikes down here, after a very dry start with really no precipitation up to middle of next week, the spikes do then start to come back quite a lot, actually, as we go through into the final days of that April. This is the 1st of May, just here now. This is still the extended range of the GFS, so low confidence, but that looks like it's the trend, in my opinion, that as we get through to the final week of April, we are seeing the trend there for the Atlantic and the jet stream start to come back. Now, the temperature anomaly for the coming week, the 16th to 24th of April, shows that we're a little bit colder than average, a little bit cooler than average. Cold is overdoing it. It's really quite chilly in the east of Europe, though. But, yeah, a little bit cooler than average for the coming week. That's probably with chilly nights. High pressure going to be coming back in, or staying in, really, over the next week. And I think we're probably going to see some quite cold nights coming along from the weekend and into the start of next week. So that's probably dragging down the overall temperature, but nothing particularly dramatic. Having said that, very, very dry period coming up. That's high pressure riding over the country for the coming week, so much drier than average. Really no measurable rainfall being recorded at all across many parts of the country for the coming week. So the GFS chart for Monday shows high pressure to the north of the country, bringing in this east to northeast wind. That will be dragging in cloud and cooler temperatures over the weekend and into next week as well. But the high pressure does keep it very dry. The high pressure sinks down across the country as we go through into Tuesday. It'll cut off that easterly flow, so temperature will probably start to lift up and the sun should break through the cloud more. But the high pressure is still keeping it very, very dry. The high pressure is maintained as we go through to the middle of next week, so virtually universally dry, I would think, for the coming week. And then we get through to the 23rd of April, Thursday, a week's time. And this is still the suggestion, or still has the suggestion that high pressure could start to retrogress out into the Atlantic. So it does push up towards Greenland. There's quite a significant Greenland high developing. We certainly are not far away from dropping this cold air down across the country. There's the low pressures waiting in the Atlantic to turn unsettled, by the way. We're probably not far away, actually, from bringing down those cold north winds, but it just doesn't quite happen. And instead, what happens is that these areas of low pressure begin to move in from the Atlantic, actually start to turn it more unsettled as we get through to Saturday, the 25th of April. And then as we go through today, 10th and 26th, we're in a proper unsettled flow there. The cold air is being kept at bay to the north. We're very, very close to it, dropping in that unusually cold air from the north. But these areas of low pressure are keeping it at bay, albeit turning it a good deal more unsettled. There would be rain coming across all parts of the country with that, but the flow is still westerly off the Atlantic, so it isn't overly cold. But certainly not far away, and it wouldn't take that much of an adjustment to begin to have to start thinking about these cold northerly winds beginning to dig in for the end of the month. We end up on Monday the 27th, going a little bit beyond day 10, still keeping that cold air at bay, but it is unsettled with these areas of low pressure driving in weather systems. The ECWS shows high pressure over the country for the start of next week, so we've got good agreement on that. That's all okay. That's middle of next week, high pressure will be dominant. And then it's what happens as we get through to the second half of next week. The high pressure sort of breaks apart, actually. We send some of the high pressure pressure down into southeastern Europe on this one, and something that does go up to Greenland. There is something of a Greenland high building there, those cold northerly winds trying to get in. But as a high pressure breaks apart, this low pressure in the central Atlantic begins to push in or push up towards the country, and that's threatening to turn it a good deal more unsettled. We go through into the weekend of the 25th, 26th of April, and we're in an unsettled flow on the ECMWF then. It's properly turned and south of the Atlantic has broken through with the jet stream running in across the country. That will be bringing rain across most parts of the country. Still relatively mild because the flow is off the Atlantic, but it is the signal there that the Atlantic is breaking through. So the idea of it turning colder for the final week or so of April seems to be going away. Don't entirely discount it, because it looks like pressure going to have a good go at building across Greenland anyway, and that will try to push down that colder air. But as the Atlantic breaks through, it looks like it's going to turn it more unsettled. I think that's where we're going for the final week of the month. But that holds off the cold air. So probably going from near normal temperatures and very dry to near normal temperatures and increasingly unsettled for the final week of the month. We'll do JMA Friday tomorrow to see what the Japanese model is showing. That'll be very interesting to see what's going on there. We'll add the CFS into the mix as well. So come back for that tomorrow. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.